Welcome back, everybody. This video is a little later in the week than I normally publish videos, and there's a good reason for it. First, we had a blizzard, and my original idea involved shooting outside. And right now, the trails are a muddy mess. The snow has melted, but couldn't get out for a couple of days, and then it's just been horrible outside. When I was trying to figure out what to do instead of that video, I decided to go down to the south side of our city and wander through a few galleries there. I was lucky and ran into a gallerist that I'm familiar with, and he invited me to be in a show at their gallery that centers around works that are small in scale. If you've never done a group show and you want to get into galleries and you want to show your work publicly, it's where I recommend you start. Group shows have a little lower barrier to entry. They're usually sponsored by galleries that still have room on their roster. And it's a great way, if nothing else, to meet other artists, to meet potential collectors, to maybe sell some work. And every once in a while you get lucky and a critic walks through. So it's just a great place to start, and it's great to see your work up on a wall. This gallery is a print-focused gallery. And by prints, I don't mean reproductions. These are original hand-pulled prints, like woodblock prints, engravings, lithographs, that kind of thing that they specialize in. And strangely, even though most of what I talk about on this channel is video and photo, I have a fine art background, and my fine art specialty in my bachelor's degree was printmaking. So I've done a lot of woodblock prints. That was really what I did a lot of. And I think that's what this gallerist is probably most familiar with. But I knew my process was too slow for the turnaround time. I have about 4 days from the time I found out about this show to where I have to deliver these prints. And 4 days just isn't long enough for a block print. I print with oil-based inks. Those take days to dry, carving the block, coming up with the design. There's just no way I was going to get it done that fast. So I talked to him, and we talked about cyanotypes. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you've seen I've done a 2-part series on cyanotypes. I'll leave links to those in the description below. And cyanotypes are a process that's loved by both printmakers and photographers. On the photography side, it's a historical process. And then on the printmaking side, it's a planographic process like photolitho. So knowing the media that I was going to use was important. And then I started looking at my reference images. I'm a photographer as well, and I'm always taking photos, and it's great to have a library of those that you don't know what you're going to use for, because sometimes you have these last-minute opportunities, and you don't necessarily have an opportunity to go out and shoot new reference imagery. So I found an image of a backlit set of crows that I liked, and another image of a daytime shot of the moon. Liked both images, thought they'd work together, played with them in Photoshop, got an image that I liked, flipped it, converted it to a negative, and you get what we have here. Now remember, in negatives, everything that is dark here will be light in the final image and vice versa. Details are important in group shows, so make sure you're reading the call for art. You need to pay attention to things like the size that's requested or the size range that they want, what kind of materials, how it's mounted, how it's framed, what the themes are, anything like that. You don't want to be a pain in the butt here. The easier you are to deal with, the more likely the gallery is going to want to have you in their shows and potentially even want you back for maybe a solo show or maybe to be represented by them. You don't want to stand out here as being a pain in the butt. I know we're rebels in the art world and we like to rebel against just about anything, some of us. This is not the place for that. This is a place to follow the rules and stand in line and do what they ask you to do because they're doing you a favor by putting you in the show. One of the rules that they had for this show is they wanted editioned work. And fortunately for me, my negatives are big enough for the size of work that they want that I can get 2 on one sheet, which means I can print 2 at a time, means I get to stack up a number of prints pretty quickly. And that worked really well, particularly since they only want an edition of 4. So instead of being multiple days of printing, this went pretty fast. Editioning has a ton of rules, and they're important if you're going to sell editioned work. If you're interested in doing editioned work, please leave me a comment. If that's something that a lot of people want to see, I can do a video about it. If not, and you want to get into that world and sell your work that way, please do your research. You don't want that to go badly. You want to follow the rules because it's important to your collectors and them investing in your future as an artist. This is my final edition of 4 prints, and anybody that's done editioning will notice that they are not exactly the same size, which is kind of a no-no. But that's because the gallery wants to do the final trimming to fit their frames. So, something that I don't have to do this time. I'm super happy that this went as smoothly as it did and that I got 4 pieces done in only 4 days. Since the gallery is doing all the final trim and framing, all I have to do now is drop these off. I hope you found this interesting. My name's Jeff. I do videos about fine art, photography, videography, and some philosophical stuff about the lessons that I've learned being a full-time artist. Please like and subscribe if this is interesting to you. We do a lot of different kinds of material, and I'm always open for suggestions if you want to reach out. The comment section would be a great place to put any ideas that you'd like to have explored. Good luck in your own art journey. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.